Welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie.
Hello.
How's it going on this bright and sunny fall Monday?
Oh, it's good. It's a weird day because there's so many trials starting. So I've been trying to, do our other podcast and prepare for this podcast, but also try and keep an ear on all of the trials. I mean, Leilani Simon started today. Boone started today. Delphi started today. Whew.
It'd be cray.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a couple of updates from Delphi. Do we want to share those? Because everything else these guys can find, from streaming and stuff, but Delphi is handwritten notes coming from reporters that were in the room.
That is true. Maybe let's share it at the end.
Let's do. Yeah.
Because we have not done a Mormon Misdeeds episode in quite some time because we've been distracted with other things. But
yeah,
there are so many things going on in that realm right now.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Like we needed to take some time out from our main cases and do a Mormon Misdeeds case because holy shit, you guys.
So these guys are saying you're a little quiet. We have struggled with sound today. I know.
Is that better?
Yes, that is better.
Okay. For, this microphone, I do not understand the volume on this microphone. It makes no sense at all. So thank you for telling us that because we did have a problem with that earlier as well. But hey, no beep. Also, no zzz sound either. I don't think. I don't hear it.
I think we're good.
Solved those two things.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed, anyway, right?
Yeah.
Now it's echoing? You're hearing echo?
Oh, it's still not good. That's weird because it sounds just fine to me now. Maybe go out and come back in.
Let me double check my settings.
StreamYard, the company we stream through, has gone through a whole bunch of updates here in the last little while. And it has it has raised hell with our sound. Okay, they're saying it's good. No echo.
Okay, we're better now?
I hope so. Yep.
I
think it's as good as we've got today.
We have struggled very much with, a whole lot of things. And StreamYard also struggling quite a lot. So let us know. Yeah. But I'm trying.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Okay. Slight echo. Why would there be an echo? I'm so confused right now. Let me try one other thing, just because I hate having audio problems. I'll turn on the echo cancellation. Hopefully that solves it.
Nope. What you just did made it so much worse.
Oh, God. StreamYard, what is happening? Okay, I turned that off.
Okay, that's better at least on my end.
Okay, I hope so.
Okay.
I sound like an anime girl?
You did for just a second. Yeah, it's better now.
I don't know why.
I also don't understand why it's fine for some people and not for others. We have no idea.
That also makes no sense to me at all. And that's why we wonder if it's got something to do with the way that it's streaming out.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to being low again. Well, I had turned this down just a little bit because it's up so high. I was afraid that was making the
echo
other stuff worse, but good lordy.
Okay. San Willow says it's better now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Okay.
Oh, and toes. Okay.
So, what we have for you today is 3 Mormon Misdeeds cases. And so we wanted to bring this to you because we haven't brought a Mormon Misdeeds to you for a bit. And this is really important, and not very many people report on any of these things, and so it's very important that we do, especially considering that we live in the heart of southeast Idaho, where Mormon land is. You know, we're not Utah Mormons, but we are Idaho Mormons, and there's a lot. So let's get started with our first one. friends, there's a whole lot going on in California. A whole lot. I mean, 91 child sexual abuse lawsuits have been filed against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in California. This has just
Yeah.
been reported on October 12th.
91.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
What?
I said that's mind blowing.
It is. It is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So, this all started on August 26th. The Slater Schulman LLP law firm filed 91 civil suits in 26 California counties, each on behalf of a different abuse survivor who says a Latter-day Saint official, employee, or other leader sexually assaulted them and that the church failed to protect them from harm.
Yeah.
The lawsuit accuses 97 former Mormon leaders and church members of child sexual abuse.
Oh my God.
That includes 20 bishops, which are the leader of a ward, similar but really not to a pastor, 20 elders, which are
Yep.
male leaders, 8 missionaries, 5 high priests, which is a high level of authority in the Mormon Church, 6 teachers, 4 counselors, 3 youth leaders, 1 stake president, which is a stake is a group of wards, and 30 other leaders and or members.
My God.
Yeah.
And
So-
yeah, like Brandy said, that is a fraction of what's actually
is,
been
but-
committed, surely. Yeah.
What is happening is that there are law firms who are soliciting these cases. They're putting it out there like, were you sexually abused by a leader in the Mormon Church? Did they do nothing about it? We are ready to take this to court, and they're combining all of these cases. So although this is across 26 counties in California, what they want to do is sort of coordinate it all as basically like one case. This one law firm is managing all of it.
Yeah.
This was reported in several places, but we definitely want to credit floodlit.org.
Yes.
That is a nonprofit that is doing fabulous work. They maintain a database of all convicted sex offenders in the Mormon religion. And it is absolutely horrifying. Right, Lion? It's so hard to grasp that not only did they get the opportunity, but that amount of people want
Yeah.
to abuse minors.
Yep.
This is not a popular thing to say, but I will say it. The Mormon Church is a haven for pedophiles and has been from day one. It started with Joseph Smith and it moved on up to other leadership. They have particularly protected and, if anything, corralled child predators. And it is disgusting. But if you are a dyed-in-the-wool Mormon like we are, where our family goes all the way back to the beginning of the Mormon Church, our family are not
Former Mormon.
former, yeah, but our families go back. Our families go back to the very
The
beginning of
beginning.
the Mormon Church.
Yeah.
Our families were not converts; we were original founders. Our
Yeah.
ancestors were original founders, and we come from a family that in older generations were pedophiles. Our own grandfather did prison time as a pedophile. We have many other family members in previous generations that never saw a moment of jail
Nope.
for the terrible things that they've done.
Yep.
And this is, I think, finally the beginning of the comeuppance that needs to occur.
Yeah.
Right? And Jonna, that's only California. Right.
Right.
California. That does not have a huge population of Mormons like Utah and Idaho and Arizona do.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. California is much more willing to do something about it.
Yes.
Unlike
Yeah. Arizona, yeah, and
Arizona,
Idaho.
terrible. But Idaho and Utah are as well. California is much more likely to do something about it.
Well, in Idaho, you're much more likely to do time for weed than you are for sexually abusing a child.
Absolutely. It's totally true. You can go look it up.
Yeah.
The sentences for marijuana possession are significantly higher than child SA. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on these California cases and see how this goes.
Yeah.
I think that people have discovered that the only way to impact the Mormon Church when it comes to stuff like this is through their very generously large pocketbook.
Yeah.
The Mormon Church has hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yep. Pay
They
the
don't
piper.
protect children, they protect money.
Yep.
And that's exactly what is happening now.
Yeah.
Right, just like the Catholic Church. Yes, Jonna, it is.
Yep.
Here's the thing, though. Not all of the perpetrators are Mormon leaders. These cases are about Mormon leaders who knew about the abuse and did not report the abuse,
Right.
just as much as it is about leadership who committed it. So it is both. It is very common for Mormon leaders to be found to be pedophiles, but also many of them protect pedophiles.
Yeah.
They may not have done the abuse, but they're certainly protecting the abusers.
Yep.
So huge props
Yeah.
to this law firm in California and what they've got going on.
Right. Well, what an undertaking.
And
Yeah.
what we're seeing is that the Mormon Church is settling these cases.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
yeah.
settling these cases for an average of $300,000 per victim.
And a DNR. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Not a DNR.
No.
That's not it. That's not right.
Different legal document. No, an NDA.
An NDA. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
But will the parents be willing to seek justice for their children? Right. These are primarily adults who are coming forward after the fact
Yep.
in these cases.
Because,
these are not
no.
necessarily children.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that, Katie, I know you have another story for us.
Yes, I do. And mine is a local story. Now, we did hear that there has been a change in the church's leadership handbook very recently, indicating that any clergy member who knows of abuse is required to turn that over to the police. As you know, this is a big shift from where they have been in the past. I'm glad to see it. I hope it's actually, that people actually do that thing. But this story is actually an example of it happening. It's still terrible, but it's an example of it happening. And so it gives me somewhat of a hope that things might get better in the future. But there's so much damage to clean up for the past 200 years that we'll never get there. But
No.
and old habits that still die hard and protection that happens. But I do want to give them that many props, and I'm sure that has to do with, how many times they're getting sued. But so this will be really interesting. It's interesting. This is a terrible case. However, don't let me play it down. I want to introduce you to this bag of mayonnaise that's been left out in the sun too long.
Yeah.
This man right here, his name is Virgil Larson. Virgil Larson lives in Chubbuck, Idaho, which is just outside of Pocatello, which is about 150 miles from us.
150 miles?
No, 150 minutes from us.
It's about 50 miles from me.
50 miles, yeah. It's not that far from us.
That's funny.
I'm thinking about it in drive time and saying it in miles. Virgil was a member of the Bishopric, which means he was in leadership. So you have the bishop, and then you have the first counselor and the second counselor. And that's the bishopric of your ward. And then you also have the executive secretary. So you have those four. But essentially, those top three. So Virgil was the first counselor in his ward, which means he has a lot of responsibilities similar to the bishops and to help the bishop. And He also had a calling in which he was working with the youth in their ward. Well, over the summer, 3 boys went to their bishop and said that Virgil Larson had been touching them inappropriately. And the bishop called that helpline that the bishops are supposed to call when they have situations like this come up. And we know where that helpline goes to, right? We've talked about this. It goes to who? Curtin McConkie.
McConkie.
The church's hired guns. They're lawyers.
Yeah.
So Curtin McConkie called the Chubbuck police and turned this in.
That's a first that I know of, honestly.
Me too. Maybe there's more, but that's the first I've ever heard of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Curtin McConkie called the police and said, hey, we've got these 3 minors here who, are saying that these things have happened to them. And so that was also turned over to, they also apparently contacted Idaho Health and Welfare. So they did more than their due diligence, which again is amazing, but okay, good.
Well,
So
they're getting hit hard in the pocketbook.
yeah.
So now they give a damn. It's not about
Yep.
the kids, it's about the money.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But if it makes a change, it makes a change.
Right?
But yeah. So here's what was so at any rate, after those 3, then they discovered, after talking to more kids and more people, that there were actually 7 young men that had had some issues here. And it has resulted in charges. I'm going to tell you what he did, but these are the charges. So one of them, I think they didn't charge. One of them is actually 18, and so there wasn't a charge. Gross. So anybody under 18, there were charges. They were ages 12 to 15. So Virgil Larson is an accountant. But for whatever reason, he was touting to the parents and these kids that he could help them with their sports injuries and give them massages. So they were going to his house. He was taking them in his bedroom, locking the door, and instructing these kids to strip down to nothing and putting them on a massage table and doing cupping and massages on naked children.
And
And
he's an
the-
accountant.
He's an accountant, but he has a
Not a massage
background and a
therapist.
real interest in physical therapy, guys. So it's okay.
It's not a hobby.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, and what the boys are reporting is that he was groping their buttocks and other parts of them, and they were uncomfortable and realizing, no, this is actually totally not okay.
Yeah.
And so, and again, he was doing cupping on them, which
You have to be
Right.
trained for that. Like
Yeah.
my massage therapist does it, but she's been trained
yeah,
to do it.
yeah.
What a weirdo.
So all of these kids had to go to a place called Bright Tomorrow's Child Advocacy Center and have forensic interviews for kids. That's the way they do
Rhonda
them.
used to work there
Oh, did she?
when
Okay.
she was in college. Yeah.
Yeah. So the one kid had a back injury, and that's why he invited him over. But again, it was very weird that they had to be naked and that they were in his bedroom on a table. Like, he was just like, hey, come over and I can help you with your back. And then he comes over and this is what it is. So in the forensic interview, the mom said that she did not know he was getting massages until she just thought he was getting some cupping. But didn't know he was getting massages until she saw the bruising on his back, because cupping leaves huge bruises, and asked him about it and learned that this was all going on.
Yeah.
One of the other victims had a similar massage story, but also said that he was receiving constant and consistent texts from Virgil Larson. One of the kids really didn't want to take his underwear off, and Larson insisted that he do because he didn't want to get coconut oil on his clothing.
Oh my God.
A lot of the kids said that he kind of made this seem like it was just a normal no big deal thing, even though they felt like it wasn't normal. A lot of them reported him being out of breath during the massages.
Gross.
They
They're
did
face down. They don't know what all's going on
right. Yeah.
with him. Ew.
They, by and large, it sounds like they said there weren't sexual conversations happening. They were just talking about basketball, golf, whatever was going on with these kids, what was going on in their days, stuff like that. But one victim did say that Larson took a photo of him on the table just to show him the bruising on his back.
Weird. And the bruising from cupping is surface only. They look like bruises, but they really aren't. Cupping brings the blood to the surface and helps with tight muscles and stuff. I have it sometimes for my back, and it's very helpful. But from someone who's trained.
Another kid said that Larson was taking him with him to Gold's Gym, and in the locker room repeatedly exposed himself to him.
Oh,
Like, he had all kinds of shit going on here.
He really did. And so brazenly. Like, he didn't think anybody was going to say a damn word.
Yeah. Yeah. So, according to the arrest affidavit, when Larson was interviewed by the police, he said that he worked for a physical therapist when he was younger, before he worked into finance, and he wanted to do that, but then he decided to do finance. And he has relatives with physical ailments, so he researched on the internet ways to help them. So then he bought a massage table, and he's just been helping people. He's just helping people, you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Gross.
And some of the parents had expressed that they didn't think there was anything wrong with this because he was a leader in their church.
Right. That's exactly what happens in all of these fucking cases. Wake up, America and every other country.
Unfortunately, folks, you have to hear it. Your children are not safe at church.
No.
Any church.
No.
Any church. Because when you look across the board, this is happening in the Catholic Church. It's happening in all of the different Christian churches. My God, the born-agains have a huge problem with this. The Mormons have a problem with this. Your children are not safe at church. They're not.
Or with church leaders.
No.
And you can't just because this person goes to your church, but you wait for the next story, it's the same damn song.
Yeah. The deputies had learned that there were more potential victims, but it sounds like they didn't actually go through with it. But another minor boy and a 7-year-old girl that Larson had asked multiple times to come over for some cupping therapy. Why would you cup a 7-year-old?
You don't.
This is insane. So, of course, he told the police that this was not sexual to him in any way. This guy has a pile of kids as well. He has a whole bunch of kids himself. This is so gross and so shitty. And I just am so sad for all of these kids that will have this incident in their lives forever.
Yeah.
Because of this person who clearly knew better than to do what he was doing. I mean, give me a break.
Right.
This is exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, smoke and mirrors don't work around here. We're not Mormons anymore. We know what you are, buddy.
Yeah.
God.
So he was able to post a cash bond and is out, but is not allowed to be around any children under 18. So I wonder how that works. But because he has, I want to say like 9 kids, but I might be wrong on that. But something like that. He has a huge amount of children.
What has he done to his own kids?
Right.
Really makes you wonder.
Mm-hmm. So that's where it's at right now. There's a pretrial, I think, coming up. Well, it's this month. It's like any day now. I looked at his repository earlier. I should have taken a note of that. But it's coming right up. So we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, Gran, he's a predator. He is a predator.
And what else has he done?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, probably a lot that we don't know about. In his repository, he had about 4 driving infractions, and that was it. So legally, that's all. But that just means that he's just not. This is when he got caught.
Right. This is when he got caught. And he should be charged for that 18-year-old kid, too, because listen, it does not matter. First of all, when you're 18 and you've been raised your whole life as a Mormon, you are naive as shit.
And he was still
And-
somebody that was in a place of power that was
Yes.
taking advantage. Yeah,
Certainly was.
absolutely. Yes.
God, that's disgusting. What an asshole.
So this was just bargain physical therapy with a huge price. And, the parents just, this seemed innocent, I'm sure, but I don't think they realized until the kids finally started talking how not innocent it was. But
Well, and Mormons are naive as shit, really. They're
Yeah.
taught to not see red flags in these
Yeah.
kinds of things. If you're a Mormon leader, then you are just automatically a safe person.
yeah. But let's be clear. Your children should not be receiving massages unless you are present in the room. There's no reason for that. This is not one of those situations that they should just be going and doing by themselves. And I'm sure these parents are kicking their own asses all the way out the door right now because they thought they were okay. They thought this guy was safe. They thought he was one of the good ones.
Right? But also, they should be a licensed professional and not just some weird guy in your church. Mm-hmm. Holy
Who
shit.
happens to have a massage table. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
Oy.
Yeah. So lots and lots of loves to all of the victims that did come forward and the victims who didn't, because
Yes.
I can only
there are
imagine.
more.
Yep. And with that, we'll keep an eye on this one for sure as it marches through the courts. We'll see how it is
Definitely.
handled. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to kick it back over to you for one more of these stories. Get ready. Maybe get your punching pillow.
You're going to need it for this. So this next case is, I know you'll be not shocked, about everybody's favorite neighborhood doctor. This asshole right here. This guy practiced, he had a general family practice in Oregon. And he was a Mormon. And all of his neighbors and, everybody in his ward, everybody just went to him. He was just
Right.
everybody's favorite little doctor. This is Dr. David Farley.
Well, yeah. I mean, they flock together, and look for people that are in their church to do business with. And yeah,
Yeah.
very normal, very common.
Yeah. So what happened is in Oregon, several young women came forward alleging abuse against him. And a grand jury came back and would not indict him. And so now what is happening is these women are preparing to sue him civilly. And this is the thing that really sucks about these cases, because they don't always get reported
Yeah.
until it's, too late for there to be a lot of physical evidence around. And this man has now moved to Nephi, Utah. Just so you know, he moved to the mother country, really, probably to protect himself,
The mother country.
really. Yeah.
The motherland. Yep.
Yep. So one of the victims says, I remember very specifically as a teenager, he would chase me down at church, me and other friends my age, and really pin us in a corner and massage our arms and shoulders and say, hey, you need to come see me. I would often try
What?
to leave early just to go hide in the car to avoid him.
Ew.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
No,
what
he
our
was-
mom would have thought of this guy?
Oh my God, she would have knocked him unconscious for that.
We would have been forbidden
We would have.
from being anywhere near him. Yep. From the get-go. Yeah.
Yeah. So she didn't tell her parents about the anxiety that she had about this guy, because again, he goes to their church, guys. He's a good Mormon guy. So she started having stomach pain when she was 15. And so, of course, where does mom take her? Well, Dr. Farley, of course. And he was basically a one-stop shop. His practice was the Westland Family Health Center. And he did all kinds of things, wellness checks and sports physicals. He did prenatal care. He delivered babies.
Oh, boy.
Like, he just basically just did it all for his little Mormon community there.
He was a little one-stop shop. Yeah.
Yes. And the fact that he was Mormon is what brought most people to him. Because, again, Mormons are taught to ignore red flags.
Yeah.
So this same patient says from the very first visit, he was able to manipulate and place my mom in a specific place in the room where she had no idea what he was doing with his hands. Over the next 3 years, during more than 40 visits, she saw that doctor 40 times in 3 years.
Why?
I have serious chronic illness, and I don't see my doctors 40 times in 3 years. What the hell
I
does
was
a teenager
thinking the
need that
exact
for?
same thing. I'm like, I
Right?
don't even go to the doctor that much. What the hell?
Yeah, and he subjected her to repeated sexual abuse in these appointments. She said using scare tactics to conduct what she described as uncomfortably long breast exams and repeated penetrative pelvic and rectal exams.
What?
He told me
Why
and my
would a
mother that he-
teenager need a rectal exam?
right? And why would they need multiple pelvic exams?
Indeed. And
Yeah.
breast exams.
Right.
Any of it.
He told me and my mother that he had a young patient die of cervical cancer. And so as a doctor, he wanted to check all his patients starting at a young age and frequently.
Oh, the hell
he
you
was
did.
just he was just being a good guy, you guys.
Yeah, he's helping out. I don't want your daughter to die, so let me see that vagina. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Jesus.
And she says that she realizes now that she was put in a position with this guy because of her upbringing as a Mormon girl to not question men in positions of authority.
Yep.
And so she didn't speak up. She said at one point he asked my mom to leave the room so he could ask me about my sexual history. And that was something I was very familiar with going into a room with a bishop alone. Yeah, because we all have asked those
Exactly.
questions from the time we were 12 on.
Yeah.
If we were following the law of chastity when we didn't even fucking know what that meant.
If we were masturbating. Yeah.
Yeah, when we didn't even know what
Yeah.
that meant. In 2009, she turned 18 and went in for her first appointment without her mother.
Oh, boy.
She says that he knew she was not sexually active, but he suggested a procedure to make sex more pleasurable for her and wanted to give her what he called a hymenectomy.
Oh, my God.
She didn't even know what that meant. You guys.
Sure.
He just said he would stretch me out a little bit. When she declined, he tried to convince her by listing the names of her friends he had performed the procedure on.
Oh, my
And
God.
then she says he became aggressive and made her quite fearful. She
Oh.
yeah. She said she finally agreed. He broke her hymen with bare hands, washing the blood off in the sink while she lay there terrified and in excruciating pain. She said afterwards it hurt to walk for days.
What the heck? You know why? You know why? So sex would be more pleasurable for her husband.
Her husband. Right. Yeah. We've heard all kinds of stories like this.
Well, I have a story like this. Not
Yes, you
this
do.
terrible at all. Not this terrible at all, but yeah.
But you sure do. She said
Wow.
also that she didn't process this as abuse. She said
Sure.
she had no idea. She thought this was normal. This is a doctor telling her this is something she's supposed to do. She dropped out of high school because of problems that she attributes to that abuse.
Yeah.
She said it wasn't
Oh,
until
I'm
years
horrified.
later that she saw another OBGYN and she realized when the doctor said we're going to do a pap smear and this should be your first pap smear. And she told the doctor, oh no, I've had over 10, maybe close to a dozen. She said the expression on the doctor's face let her know that wasn't normal and should not have happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. When she told her family, they said, it's going to be me against the community because he is such a prominent member. They were nervous for me to come forward and do this fight.
You bet.
Alone.
You bet.
Alone. You know.
Yeah.
Without
Not with them. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are stories out on CNN, particularly CNN is covering this.
Heavily, yeah.
And they have tried to get any statements from Farley. He's just refusing. They've even tried to go to his house. He will not speak to anyone.
Yeah.
And of course, these things are alleged. He has not been convicted of a crime. But I think what we're going to see happen here is some big changes with the light being shed on this.
Yeah.
So in the summer of 2020, this patient discovered that her brother called her and had heard that this doctor was retiring and that the Oregon Medical Board had suspended his license after receiving reports about his behavior and were investigating, and that she was not the only one that experienced these things, which she knew because he had admitted to that.
Yeah.
But what has really helped her is to be able to, come forward with other women
Yes.
who have also been through the same thing.
Yeah.
So there are 3 of them together trying to bring this to light. And there are many more, I am sure, but these 3 particularly are trying to bring this to light. They're trying to get some comeuppance from this man.
Yeah.
And can you imagine how long the list is
Oh.
of young girls that he has molested like this?
And probably the adult women too. I mean,
Yeah.
the doctor
Oh,
that was
yeah.
finally busted here in Rexburg for this stuff, that old Dr. Withers, he was molesting the old women and the young girls.
He'd been molesting them their whole lives. He molested me when I was 12 once.
Yeah.
And my mom nearly murdered him and never took me back because she recognized
How wrong
what
that
he was doing.
Yeah.
He gave me a breast exam because I was there for a sinus infection.
Yeah.
And
A
she was
12-year-old.
livid. A 12-year-old, yeah.
Yep.
But no one believes these stories
Yeah.
in little towns like Rexburg, Idaho, until
Yep.
there are hundreds of victims like Withers had.
Oh my God. That is horrifying.
Yeah, it is. It is hideous. But boy, this is hit mainstream news, and they are not letting up. And I'm quite sure we'll be seeing a lawsuit coming here at some point. He has tried really hard to keep his name out of the news. But CNN's like, yeah, not doing it.
Yeah. Yep. Nope.
Yeah. So there are a lot of other women with very similar experiences coming forward. But why has this guy not been criminally charged? I want to know.
Right. Why and how? Yep.
Yeah. The problem being that these cases, she's the main gal that I was talking about. She's 32 now. So this was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And, there's no physical evidence. And that's why so many of these cases turn to civil lawsuits, because it's really the only option that they have.
Yep.
And like she said, she didn't even know this was abuse.
Right.
Which seems crazy, but it isn't. Especially when you grow up as sheltered as Mormon girls do.
And the priesthood authority, the male authority, this guy was in her ward, he was her doctor. She had every reason to not question any of that.
She did. I was just so lucky that my mom was much more, as the Mormons would say, worldly, and recognized that in Dr. Withers immediately.
Well, she'd been SA'd herself as a kid, so she definitely had some sensitivity for that.
But she also just did not, do the automatic trust male authority.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah, no. Oh, no. She was the problem. Frequently the problem. Yeah.
She was always the one that talked too much and said too much, and
Asked
said
too
all
many
the quiet
questions
words out
and-
loud. And yes,
Yeah.
asked too many questions, and thank God for her that she did, because honestly, she protected us from. We could have experienced way worse things than we did.
Indeed.
We have family members who did, and
Yeah.
we didn't because of our mom.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, pretty much every story we bring you in Mormon Misdeeds is about sexual abuse.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the Mormon Church and the Mormon Church leadership
Yeah.
and the culture behind it?
Yeah.
This stuff has been allowed and protected for many, 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 over 100 years,
Yeah. Yep.
150 years
Yeah.
in this particular church. And of course, it's everywhere else in lots of other churches. Yes, our mom was a pot stirrer, and she was very unapologetic. She did not
She was
care.
the posturer.
She was. She was, and I'm so grateful. I think it's why we've been able to get out and why we talk about this stuff, even though we still live in this insane place, because somebody's got to speak up. Somebody's got to
Well,
say these things.
If we never shine light in dark places, they stay dark. And we can't do
Exactly.
that. We cannot break these old patterns. We can't break the generational trends if we don't talk about them. But yes, I'm recognizing we have victims in the chat room as well that have been essayed as well. And so all the love to you. And
Definitely.
we know these are very
Absolutely.
hard, triggering conversations. Yeah.
They are very hard. But I think it's important also for everyone who has experienced that to know that you are not alone and that we believe you.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
believe you. We know that these things have happened. This is true. This is real. And that we're all going to stand together to fight it.
Yeah.
And if the Mormon Church has to lose all of their hundreds of billions of dollars, so fucking be it.
That's correct. That is correct. Yep. Yep.
Well-
Just wanted to say that Karen said that her mama died a few days ago and she's really struggling. So
Oh.
want to give you lots and lots of love, Karen. I'm so sorry
much
to
love
hear
to
that.
Karen. I'm so sorry.
We've been there.
That's rough.
I know. That's a really hard blow. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
Right? Sexual assault and murder of spouses seems to be the Mormon news stories, and domestic violence too.
Yeah.
It is.
The murder of spouses is, there's been a rush on that lately. We're not
Yeah,
really
especially
quite sure
in
why.
Utah,
Yeah.
which is wild.
Well, in Rexburg. What? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Paula says, my impossible dream is for leaders of any church to say you are required to report abuse or you will be excommunicated. Yeah.
Amen, Paula. Yes.
That it should have been the standard from day one.
Yeah.
And now we're undoing literal centuries of this shit.
Yep.
But no more. Because we're going to say your name and we're going to put your stupid face on the internet because fuck all y'all.
Yep.
Here's Dr. Farley. What an asshole.
Yep.
And I hope that they're...
And here's Virgil Larson.
Fuck you, Virgil Larson. And hopefully some real consequences happen to these people.
Yep.
Because that's what we want.
Absolutely. Yes.
Are women just brainwashed into not defending themselves? Mormon women are. Absolutely.
Yep.
Just blamed. We're blamed.
Well, and they feel guilty for injuring another person. Injured people feel guilty for telling the
Harming
truth,
another person.
for harming another person, and that, well, I look at Virgil Larson and his pile of children,
Yeah.
and the fact that he's facing 25 years to life for every count.
Yeah.
5 counts. He may go to jail for the rest of his life. His family is destroyed. But that's not the victim's fault. That is his fault. But
That is his
unfortunately, so many of us were led to believe that that was on us.
Yeah.
That was on us.
Particularly as women.
Yeah.
We were responsible for the actions of men. and responsible for their happiness.
Yep.
And I know it's not just Mormon women that are taught that, but that is
Not at
certainly
all.
what we were raised with.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Yep.
Right. Catholic children were taught to revere priests, just like Mormon children are taught to respect religious leaders. Right.
Right. It opens the door to abuse. I think that in the Mormon church, I think it's been particularly built into kids because of the bishop interviews. That they now do
Yes,
differently.
definitely.
There's finally been enough pushback against that. But when we were kids, very uncomfortable, inappropriate questions from a man while you're a child sitting across from them in their office with the door closed about sex.
And you're alone.
When you're alone and you're a child.
And they're frequently asking you questions about things. I know for me, they asked me questions about stuff I didn't even know what that was.
You didn't know anything about.
I didn't even know what the words were. I didn't know what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were just little kids.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. Yes, Mormons are taught to forgive the abuser, and the abuser is praised for being a good person. Yeah, absolutely.
Always. Always. The Mormon church was started by a pedophile, guys. And
they've repented.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They've repented. They've already repented and gotten right with God, so you just don't worry about them. You worry about yourself.
God forgave them, so you have to forgive them too. We've heard it all.
Yep.
All of it.
Yeah, God forgave them and you have to forgive them too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You betcha.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Here's a news flash. You don't have to forgive anybody.
No.
No,
sure
you
don't.
fucking don't. If you want to forgive, forgiving doesn't mean that you're saying that their behavior's okay. If you want to get some closure on something and you want to call that forgiveness, great. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to say that what they did was okay. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to continue to be exposed to these people. That's insanity.
It is.
But we also know that historically, pedophiles don't stop.
No,
They don't stop. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't stop. And so for this guy, this guy in Chubbuck, Virgil, he's done other stuff. And I'm not saying this from a place of, I know this to be true. I am telling you that as a pedophile, as an adult man with a large family, there's no way in hell these are his first victims.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because give me a fucking break. If you don't know that it's not appropriate to put a child on that you have no business having any kind of physical contact with on a massage table, locked in your bedroom, naked, and touching their private parts is not okay, yes, you fucking do. Yes, you do.
You sure do, and you're a pedophile. That's what that means.
That's what that means. Yeah.
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 Brandy says, usually it was a dark hallway across the church from everyone of them in the room, door shut, with another man standing outside the door. He was the secretary usually. Yeah.
Yes.
And you knew that if you gave the wrong answers, you were going to be in deep shit. You would be in trouble. So those interviews were scary. And they might tell your parents something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was terrifying. We had to have those interviews so that we could then go to the temple to do baptisms for the dead, which we have talked about here on the podcast quite a bit and what that means. But we had to be found worthy. And that meant sexual purity. And those interviews started when we were 12 years old.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Jonna said, my husband, who was raised Catholic, said as a child he always thought that the priests were screwing the nuns, not the choir boys. Well, that went on too, for sure.
They were doing that too. Yep.
Yeah. Right, Tammy, it very much mental abuse as well. It was. Because you went into those meetings terrified that you were going to say or do the wrong thing, that you were sinning, and you just didn't even necessarily know if you were or not. It was insane.
Oh, yeah.
What they put us through with that shit. And then all of the shit that they put us through when we had to go do the baptisms for the dead. That was also scary and traumatizing.
Oh, that's
hated it
nothing
so
compared to the
much.
interview I had to have to get married in the temple.
Oh,
Whew.
I cannot imagine.
I'm not even going to tell you all what it was like, except for that it was the most humiliating experience of my life.
Jesus.
If someone asked me questions like that now, I would tell them where to go. Like, there's no
Right?
way. And I sat there as a child, or not a child, as a 19-year-old with my fiance, just answering these horrific questions, insanely personal questions. Like, what? How dare they? I remember going home that night thinking, was, w- was the bishop getting off on this? Like, the stuff he asked us? I just can't. I still cannot even. Yeah. Paula said she was told she was unclean because her sister was pregnant. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, you screw up, you have just polluted your entire family. That is definitely, when I came out as
Yes.
gay, I just destroyed our eternal family, according to the church.
Well, yeah. Well, I had a home daycare, and one of the girls I babysat for, grew up in the same ward, and she ran into another lady that lived in the same ward we did as kids, and she mentioned to her, yeah, Grace is going to daycare at Katie's house, and she said, you should pull her out of there. Her sister is gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents dealt with shit like that at their jobs.
Yeah.
There were people who knew that I was gay because I was not quiet about it because fuck off.
Yeah.
And there were, I did not, I moved away from Rexburg. I never lived there again because there were people who spoke to my parents about me. And that was somehow a poor reflection on them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You bet.
Hideous.
Yep. Yeah, our mom left the church too, the same time I did. Yep. Our parents did, yeah.
Our parents did. They appeared at work as though they were still practicing Mormons because of where they lived, but they weren't. They didn't go to church for the last 15,
Yeah.
20 years of their lives.
Yep.
But we were very careful in Rexburg itself because our mom was a teacher and our dad was the barber that cut the hair of the school, BYU Idaho's president and the
Yeah.
judges and the prosecutors and the sheriff and people like that. And so he just was quiet about
Yeah.
it. And I didn't make a lot of noise in Rexburg for that reason.
Our mom would have to go to the liquor store in the next town over.
She would. She would drive to the next town over to buy alcohol.
Yep, she couldn't even buy a bottle of wine at the grocery store. Yeah.
She seriously could have lost her job as a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
If parents knew that she had left the Mormon church and that she had a gay daughter, there would be people who wouldn't.
And that she
complain
drank
to the
alcohol?
school. Yes, that would complain to the school and not want them teaching her children. That's where we're from.
She got in trouble one time because she had a travel mug of coffee that got knocked over on the counter in her
Oh, yeah.
in her classroom. She had like a workspace, like desks that kids would sit at. She was a special ed teacher, a grade school special ed teacher, and that mug got knocked over and spilled coffee everywhere, and she was trying to clean it up. And she had a word from her principal about, please don't bring coffee to school. That just doesn't seem very appropriate.
Yeah.
Coffee to school. Yeah.
Can you imagine that in any other place? What a bunch of bullshit that would have been.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, our mom was amazing.
Yes.
And she fought very hard for us, and we are so lucky that she did because we've come out of this situation. We're not unscathed from growing up in this cult by any means, but we've come out of it quite a bit better than a lot of other people.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yes, Brandy, you brought up a great point because I was thinking about this too. Baptisms for the dead. You put on these like polyester, at least when we went. Now, I know this has been a while ago, so if it's not current to this, then, don't yell at me in the comments. Not you guys, but later. It'll be later.
This is 80s, 90s.
80s, 90s. So they'd give you this thing to put on that was like a one-piece white polyester zip-up outfit. And they were very see-through when they were wet. And so you would have to climb into the baptismal font and then do all of your baptisms and then climb out. And you're standing there wet and dripping in this very see-through outfit with all of these men in the room. And they would give you a towel because you were
and your peers
dripping everywhere.
You were surrounded by boys and girls of your age.
Mm-hmm. And they were, Brandy said she faked sick a few times so she didn't have to go. Agree. Because I always felt like we were very, very exposed in those outfits.
We were.
Yeah.
Well, we were required to wear white bras and white underpants.
Yes.
So that you couldn't see you couldn't have pink underwear on or something. Mm-hmm. That was the bad thing.
Yeah.
Not that we were, because you would stand there and you had to drip. You had to like squeeze all the water out of your outfit because they didn't want you walking across the sacred temple carpet in your wet outfit.
Yeah.
So you'd stand there forever and you'd be so cold. I remember
cold.
just like my lips were blue, chattering cold.
Yeah.
In freaking winter in Idaho, standing there like that, waiting until they finally would let you go into the girls' changing room.
Yeah. 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 It was creepy indeed. Yeah. But yes, you'd freeze to death waiting to be able to go. And also, those fuckers were about 1,000 pounds when they were wet.
They were so heavy. It was the stupidest thing. It was the stupidest thing to have to wear and go do that to begin with. Like, why were they made of that fabric that wicked up the water so heavily? Oh, it was ridiculous.
Well, yes, the young men were standing there watching you too. Also, for the overweight girls, those outfits were very, very tight. I can remember feeling really sorry for girls that were a little heavier, that were in these zipped up like a sausage into these stupid outfits, and then they really showed everything, and they were humiliating.
Just basically like a one-size deal.
Yeah.
They were awful.
Yeah. Yeah. Blah. Yeah.
Just hideous. Ugh. Anyway.
I didn't even mean for us to talk about that tonight, but here we are.
No, but it's, it's part of it. It is many, many ways that religions traumatize children.
Yeah.
How many, Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. Red Girl says, in the Baptist churches here, people wear T-shirts and shorts under the baptismal robes.
Well, that would have
been
sense.
nice.
Yeah. The men wore the same thing. Yeah, the men had the same thing on.
Yep, they're wearing the same thing, and they're supposed to be wearing white underwear too, and it was so weird and uncomfortable, and there was always that weird kid that had a crush on you that was staring at you when you were standing there knowing that you're fucking see-through, it was awful.
Yeah.
Right? It did. There were a lot of things about being in the Mormon church that taught a lot of perverse things to the young men.
Yeah. And just, pervasive rape culture, because it was always on the girls. It was always the girls' fault.
Everything. Mm-hmm. Did you show your shoulders? Mm-hmm. Did you make yourself pornography? We were literally accused of that if we showed our shoulders or we wore anything above the knee. Like,
oh, I started a hell of a fight in a local group. There was a group on Facebook, like a Life in Rexburg group. And Mars got sent home because her skirt was too short from junior high. And it was crazy because her skirt was not too short. But that day, apparently it was. And what I learned is that it was the principal of the school that had measured her skirt, touched her leg, touched her knee to measure that and see if it was long enough. And I've known this man. He grew up where my dad did. Like, I have always respected him. He was a teacher I had in high school and protected me when I had a stalker. Like, I don't really think he was molesting my daughter, but what I think he was doing was inappropriate. And so I posted in a local group and I said, does it make anyone else uncomfortable that men in our schools are measuring our daughters' clothing, touching their bodies to measure their clothing, and are the ones that are making determinations about whether or not their clothes are appropriate. And how inappropriate is it that they are constantly looking at our children to make a decision about how appropriate they are? And does that bother anybody else?
Yeah.
Turned out it was just me. Not really. Actually, a lot of people said, yeah, I hate it too. I hate it too. And pointed out how the rules were not, meted out with fairness. That some kids got sent home and some kids didn't, and whatever. Like, I don't, that's whatever. I mean, lots of schools have a dress code. I get that. But at the same time, I was thinking about how gross it is that these male teachers are looking our girls up every day and down and looking at their clothing and at their knees and their shoulders and their body parts and deciding if they're a turn on to the boys or not.
Right.
And how gross and weird that is. Yeah.
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 Oh, Red Girl says the Mormons here must live in mortal offense in the summer. Here's the thing. It depends on where you live.
Yeah.
In East Idaho, in parts of Arizona, and in Utah, everyone around you is Mormon, or not everyone, but very nearly everyone. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, people constantly police each other. And it's much more severe and extreme in those locations than it is. Yeah, you're in Mississippi. There aren't that many Mormons there. There aren't that many people to be telling those girls what to wear and not wear and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And right, it's super hot and humid. It's ridiculous that they can't wear other stuff. And so they do. But, living where we grew up, I mean, you were constantly being judged and constantly being surveilled by other people.
Oh, one of my daughters was in third grade. She got a brand new outfit. It was spring. And she got a brand new outfit. She picked it out. She was so excited. She wore it to school. And her teacher called me and said that I needed to bring her a jacket. And I was like, why? Is she cold? And then I realized I can hear her crying in the background. And I said, is she crying? Well, yeah, she's a little upset. Okay. I said, can I speak with her, please? So I get on the phone and I'm like, are you cold? No. I said, why do you need a jacket? And she sobs. She says, my outfit is inappropriate. My third grader. Yeah. It was a little shorts outfit that had capped sleeves. It wasn't even a tank top. It had capped sleeves, but it looked apparently too tank toppy. And she thought the shorts seemed a little short. So she really wanted her to wear a jacket that day so she could be more appropriate.
My God.
And I said, I'm not bringing her a jacket unless she's cold and wants one. And don't ever call me with something like this again. I was so pissed. But my mom taught at that school. And so I always felt like I had to be a little bit careful about how much I fought back on stuff. But I gave it to her. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't nice to her for the rest of the school year. And I still used to run to her every once in a while in the store. And she'd be like, how are you? We just loved your kids in art school. We sure miss you, Mary Ann, your mom. And I'd always just be so unfriendly to her. I'm like, go fuck off.
Right.
But I was so mad the way my little girl was sobbing. But what could I have done? I, told the teacher off and put her in her place. And please don't get me wrong. I am a teacher's advocate 99% of the time. I am not the mom who thinks that my kids walk on water, but that was wrong. But what do? Go talk to the principal who was also a bishop? Is that going to get me anywhere? No, it isn't. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. But yes, my third grader was inappropriate at school.
As if.
And I guarantee you she wasn't. Yeah.
No, and third graders aren't inappropriate.
Correct.
They're little kids.
Yep, they're children. Yep.
So, as you can see, every time we do a Mormon Misdeeds up, we get worked up. You all get worked up. And we all know why. But that's what's going on in the Mormon land and
Misdeeds community.
Right a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. We will keep you updated on these cases. And I'm sure we'll have more to bring you, which is unfortunate, but all of these things need to be talked about and brought to light.
Yeah.
And there are a handful of us out here doing it. We appreciate floodlit.org so much for what they're
Yeah.
doing. There are other content creators doing this work as well, and we appreciate all of them because we know, for those of us that still live in what some people call Mordor, no, really, Mordor, Utah and southeastern Idaho, we have to, because we have to bring this to light.
Yes.
So
yes.
we're going to keep on talking.
We are. And I think tomorrow we're not till 6, and Delphi I think will be done at 4. So I think I'll just give you a big Delphi update tomorrow. That way I can get in tomorrow, because tomorrow they're arguing motions in limine in the morning. So,
okay. We do have the watch party this week as well.
Yes.
And we're going to watch the Menendez brothers. It's a documentary called The Menendez Brothers. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It is 2 hours. But considering what's going on in that case, it feels really important that we do that right now.
Yeah.
So that will be our Wednesday night watch party. So if you want to do that with us, remember that you go to Buy Me a Coffee, go to truecrimesquad.com, click on Buy Me a Coffee. If you join our little $2 a month subscription over there, that's how you get access to that link to attend that show with us.
Yes.
So please come watch it with us. We're really excited about it. It is not the creepy one. No, we're not doing the one called Monsters is the yucky one. We're not
giving them that press. No.
No, we are not. But we are going to do the one called the Menendez Brothers. It is brand new this year as well as the other one. So we're going to do the one that is really a documentary. And with that, thank you all for hanging out with us. I know this can be a hard conversation, but such an important one. And you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.